I invite everyone to stand as you're able for this invocation. Gracious and Holy One, as we gather in these chambers tonight, first of all, we just want to thank you for the opportunity to host the many people who will be coming to our area for the races this week. We pray for their safe arrival, for the fun time that they will have while they are here, and for their safe return home. We also lift up our thanksgivings to you this evening as we celebrate Valentine's Day tomorrow, and we give you thanks not only for the people in our lives whom we love and those who love us, but also for the love that we have for this community that we call home, and the place where we work and the place where we live. We thank you for those who love this community and serve it as members of this commission, as leaders in our community, as staff and volunteers that serve this community. May they know of our great appreciation and our great love for the work that they do. And finally, O Holy One, keep us in your tender care and mercy as we conduct the business of this city. And we pray your great wisdom be upon these leaders as they make decisions on behalf of the citizens of this city. We ask these things in your holy name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Reverend Bob. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I'm going to trust my back row back there. I hear comments afterwards that you can't hear any of us, so please put a hand up to the ear if you can't. Please, if anybody is speaking up here on the dais, make sure you're speaking right into the mic. Thank you. All right, so this evening we don't have any presentations. The only thing I would say is one of our commissioners, Kanamos, celebrated a birthday this weekend, so happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
We won't make you sing. Anyway, happy birthday. I hope it was a happy one.
It was very nice. Thank you.
Next, we're going to go on to the approval of the minutes, and this is from the City Commission meeting of January 23rd, 2024. Do I hear a motion to accept those minutes?
I so move.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. All right, Chair, can you take a vote on that, please? I'm sorry, is there any discussion on any of the minutes? Okay, if not, Sherry, can you take a roll, please?
Vice Mayor Flores?
Yes.
Commissioner Economos?
Yes.
Commissioner Carr?
Yes.
Commissioner Dembitsky?
Yes.
Mayor Miller?
Yes, thank you. Okay, next we're going to go on to the consent agenda, and this evening we do have 3 items on there. I would like to pull item B for discussion, and that's access agreement for the seawall repair at La Mer condominium at 3255 South Atlantic Avenue. Director Cruz, can you come up, please? Can you tell us a little bit about this? My understanding there's only about 14 parking spaces and they're asking for 7. I'm a little bit concerned about how beach parking is at a premium with Pet Park not being open and some of the other things where people usually can park. So you can tell me a little bit about how long they want this and the reason, and are we working together between Lamar and us on the seawall? Is that the reason why?
So, good evening, Madam Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, Stuart Cruz, Community Service Director for the record. So there are indeed 16 parking spaces on the property. 2 of them are handicapped. There are 7 to the north. So the primary reason for this agreement on the agenda tonight is because, like everyone else, there's repairs to be made on the La Mer seawall. And so the seawall did not get completed damage, so they don't have to rebuild the seawall, but they do have work to the back off and to the rear of the seawall that needs to get done. They only need to access a small portion of the city property in order to get to their property and then move all their equipment and all their supplies and keep that stored on their property. However, because of construction, employees, they have not only the seawall crew that's going to be working there, they also have a roof crew as well that will be working there. So the seawall crew should be there for the next 2 months. They're ready to start, as early as tomorrow, the day after. The roof crew is actually there right now, and they are utilizing about maybe 3 spaces at a time. So in talking with the Lemaire CAM and the Lemaire folks, there was a conversation with staff, and we thought it would be prudent to basically recommend to the commission to utilize those spaces. So one thing I can say, Madam Mayor, is that, and when I say those spaces, I mean the 7 to the north. That means the other 9 would be remaining open for the general public. One thing I can tell you is that the construction will not be happening on the weekends, and it will not be happening on the holidays. And I've already verified that with the CAM and with some representatives that are here from Lemoore tonight. So if that is something that the commission wanted to see in the document with approval tonight, that is something that we can work with the city attorney's office to basically memorialize in the agreement.
Okay, and that was a suggestion that I received from someone on staff, that we do not let them park there on holidays or weekends. I really don't see a problem, but when you say 16 spaces, unless you need a handicap, really we're talking about 50% of the spaces will be taken. And again, if Peck Park was open, I wouldn't even hesitate, but these are premium spaces. So I am okay. Becky, do we have to vote on this or just approve the consent agenda after we discuss?
It should be separately voted on.
Okay, all right. So I guess someone will have to make the motion since I can't, but if it is not weekends and it is not holidays, I'm fine with that. But who will monitor that to make sure they're not there?
So, staff can go out there, but Lemaire Condo, we've had a really good relationship with them in the past. I think they will self-monitor as well, because if they ever need to utilize the park again, and just so you know, there was a parking application that was submitted even before this agenda item tonight, because they anticipated the work on the roof and the work on the seawall, but because it was getting really, really busy and they wanted to use it for an undefined period of time, staff actually denied that application, So we have worked with them in the past on different parking situations, and I think they will self-regulate, but we can also go out there and ensure that they're sticking to the letter of the agreement. And again, I don't think that they want to basically shoot themselves in the foot, because in future years, they may need the city park for some other purpose as well.
Great. So if anyone's in agreement, if I can hear a motion to, for item B, that we do approve.
I'll so move pursuant to the details that Director Cruz provided for us, and you have it all written out, so there's an understanding or an agreement.
We can put it in the agreement.
Yeah, that'd be great. Okay, I so move according to those
Have a second?
representations.
I'll second it.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, can I
Yes.
ask for an addition to that?
Yes.
That while the agreement is being clarified, that they're ready to start construction, and I don't want to hold them up another day, that if the motion could include that by verbal vote, they can go ahead and start parking there and getting work done, even though the agreement is still pending.
Okay, and Vice Mayor.
Also amend.
Okay, all right. So we have that amendment now that they can begin immediately, and that it is no weekends or holidays. So we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Okay, if not, Sherry, can you take a vote on that, please?
Vice Mayor Flatus,
Yes.
Commissioner Davidsky,
Yes.
Commissioner Carr,
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Mayor Miller.
Yes, thank you. So the 2 other remaining consent agenda items, do I have a motion to accept as is without pulling?
I'll so move.
Thank you. Second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Any discussion on either of those? Sherry, can you take a roll on that, please?
Vice Mayor Flatus,
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Davidsky,
Yes.
Commissioner Carr,
Yes.
Mayor Miller.
Yes, thank you. Okay, now we are going on to new business. Director, so this is ordinance 2024-05. Attorney Boyce, can you read this for us, please?
Yes, Madam Mayor. Yes, Madam Mayor. This is ordinance number 2024-05, an ordinance of the City of Daytona Beach Shores, Volusia County, Florida, relating to voluntary annexation of real property located at 3215 La Paloma Avenue, short parcel identification number 5335-01-05-0240, together with associated right-of-ways in accordance with Section 171.044 Florida statutes, providing for legislative and administrative findings, redefining the boundaries of the city, providing for legal effect in implementing administrative actions, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, providing for non-codification, and setting an effective date.
Thank you, Attorney. Director?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners. So this ordinance, as the City Attorney just read, is ordinance 2024-05, which speaks to the voluntary annexation request made by the owners of the property at 3215 La Paloma Avenue. The owner applicant are Maggie and Kevin Kiernan, and Mr. Kiernan is here tonight. He's excited about this whole process and joining the Shores. The property is 0.14 of an acre. The existing land use on the property is single-family residential. The footage of the building is about 1,500, a little over 1,500 square feet. And the proposed land use will continue to be single-family residential. So the owners actually live up north, I believe it's Colorado, and they hope to make Daytona Beach Shores their permanent residency. And they spend anywhere from 3 to 4, sometimes 5 months down here every year. So this is the location of the property. The red box that you see here is the lot, the subject lot. The green area that you see adjacent to the lot are areas of Daytona Beach Shores that are contiguous to the property, and that's one of the criteria that has to be met in order to qualify for voluntary annexation into the city limits under the Florida statute. This is an aerial view of the neighborhood.
Can you stop right there? Can I see where Westminster Church is?
So this is Westminster Church over here.
Okay, all right.
And this is their overflow parking lot.
Okay, great, thank you.
This is a street view of the property. I actually took this picture this afternoon, and I had the pleasure of meeting Mr. Kiernan. It was really nice. So in your staff report, you'll see an analysis of section 171.044 of the Florida statute, which is the voluntary annexation requirements that have to be met in order to qualify for voluntary annexation. And all those requirements have been met. Staff is recommending approval of this ordinance 2024-05. If there's any questions, I'll be happy to take those, and Mr. Kiernan is here as well.
Mr. Kiernan, we are so excited to have you in the Shores. Thank you for moving to our city and being one of our full-time residents if this gets approved. We're very, very anxious to have you, and thank you for considering our city.
Well, thank you very much for allowing us.
Is there anything that you'd like to say to us before?
May I? Or-
Yes, certainly.
My wife tells me I'm not shy, so I'm happy.
Just say your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Kevin Kiernan. My address is 3215 La Paloma Avenue, Daytona Beach, Florida, 32118. Me and my wife first came to Daytona Beach 14 years ago for our honeymoon, and we stayed at the Grand Seas Lodge Hotel up north. It's one of the first times we ever had a resort experience, and I won't take too much of your time, but we fell in love with it down here. We've been down several times since then. I am the son of a truck driver. My mother worked at a nursing home. I never in a million years thought I would be an owner of a beach home, but I was as of 2022. We simply want to be able to be given the opportunity to use it as short-term rental because we do not want it to be a long-term rental. I want to come here all of the time. So it's not a business of any kind for us. It's simply the ability to have people come when we're not there, but to be able to come here whenever we want. So we appreciate the consideration. Thank you so much.
Now, if I can clarify that 1 minute, so you are going to be doing some short-term rentals?
So,
Okay, all right, okay.
not our main goal.
Okay.
Not our main goal. We've designed this home to be, and that's what I was telling Mr. Cruz today, because his, one of the big fears, I think, is parties, is things like that. We have designed this home. This is a 3-bedroom home. We have 2 masters, 2 king-size beds. This is designed for families to come and enjoy your city, for when we're not here. We don't intend on having parties. Again, this isn't intended to be a business. It's intended for us to come and enjoy this beautiful town till we get to move here permanently, and for other people to come and enjoy it as well,
Great.
families specifically.
Okay, we appreciate it, thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Director Cruz, can I ask you a couple questions? Okay, thank you very much. Again, I know short-term rentals comes up in the legislature year after year after year after year. Can you explain for the people on the dais, if they don't understand, because of the 2011, how we were before that? Can you explain to us about that we don't really have any control over short-term rentals, or what does short-term rentals look like in Daytona Beach for
I'll
us?
link to the city attorney whenever I'm finished, but generally, because we were precluded by the Florida statutes in 2011, we cannot outlaw or prohibit them, short-term rentals in the city, but there are some regulations that we can do, but whether or not the city would contemplate enacting those regulations or not is something that the City Commission has to decide. Just, of course, be aware that some of those regulations might include additional requirements such as staffing and whatnot. We haven't had an issue with short-term rentals, except for maybe one property in the last 5 years or so. And, the chief of police can always speak to that as well, because normally they're the first ones in the scene if there's any issues. But in my experience, from a code enforcement perspective, we haven't been receiving any complaints with short-term rentals.
I just wanted to make sure that everyone on the dais understood this. And again, going back to the history of Daytona Beach Shores, 81% of our residents live in condos. So those condo COA, HOA rules supersede anything that we would have in the city. So that means we are only responsible for the other 19% of the properties in the shores. So everything that has their rules in a COA is their rules, whether it's 1 day, 1 week, 1 year, that's their rules. So we're only talking about the other 19% of our residents. Chief, have we had any problems, as far as you know, with short-term rentals?
The largest problems that we've had is usually noise. It's large groups that congregate in just 1 or 2 of the houses that does the short-term rentals, and we deal with that in a case-by-case basis.
Thank you very much. Okay. So again, welcome. I just wanted to make sure that everyone on the dais understood what the regulations are as far as short-term rentals. Thank you. So do I hear a motion to accept ordinance 2024-05?
I'll so move.
Yeah. Second? All right. Any discussion on that? Do we have any questions for our new resident? Anything we want to clarify? Okay, if not, Sherry, can you take a roll on that, please?
Commissioner Conlon?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Gladys?
Yes.
Commissioner Card?
Yes.
Commissioner Dembski?
Yes.
Mayor Miller?
Yes, thank you. Okay, so it seems like it's the Director Cruz show tonight. So you tell us a little bit about the history before our previous commissioners were on the board, what action we took. Stepping back, this was, if I could give you a little history on this, this was something, a lot of people have talked to me about it, how unsightly some of those utility boxes are, have come up to me with the idea of wrapping them, but actually the one that really pushed it was Billy Wheeler, is that correct? City manager, okay, so Billy Wheeler was one, and if you go into Daytona, they have these. So was it, how long ago that we first approached you?
So just a quick background for those in the audience who may not be familiar. So the city started a beautification effort, streetscape effort, many years ago with the completion of the underground utility project, in which all the overhead utilities were above ground and they were brought down underground in order to create a better streetscape. And in addition to that, the City Commission also established a monument sign ordinance and grant program in 2012, and this commission extended that grant program in 2022 to basically try to enhance and hasten, I should say, the removal of these tall signs that created a blight, if you will, on the streetscape. After considering all the money that the City Commission spent, I'm sorry, not the City Commission, but the city spent on underground and utilities. So that's kind of the background, but in addition to the work that the city did, there were still some additional streetscape issues, and those streetscape issues, as the mayor was referring to, include but are not limited to, these huge FP&L boxes. So the FP&L boxes, they come in different sizes, but these are the extra large ones. These are the ones that are like 5 feet by 6 feet by 7 feet or thereabout. And so they're right up in the right of way, and they create a huge issue in terms of the streetscape. And so in July of last year, the City Commission approved the utility equipment box art program here in Daytona Beach Shores. And so after that, the city staff worked on a concept in which the program would be phased. And so in September of last year, phase one of the program was approved. And phase one of the program essentially encompassed the wrap-in of these extra large boxes, the medium-sized boxes and the other utility boxes that we had, such as the FDOT boxes and also the AT&T boxes. Those would come at a later date. But phase one was essentially to get at the most egregious-looking utility boxes that we have out there, and those are the FP&L pad-mounted transformer boxes that I said, ranges anywhere from 5, 6, 7 feet or so in dimensions. And so on September 12th of last year, the City Commission approved phase one of the project. And so in September 26th, the City Commission also approved the current year fiscal budget 23-24, which basically allocated $20,000 for phase one of this project, basically wrapping those utility boxes with the pre-selected options that FP&L has. So in December of last year, phase one requests for quotes were actually issued through the city procurement process, and then we received all these quotes. Actually, there were only 4 or 5 quotes that were received, and those were provided to the city in January of last year. So that's the reason why we're here tonight. We're looking for direction from the City Commission as to how some of these questions can be answered in terms of the implementation of phase one. So the first question is, the duration and the funding allocation. Does the City Commission want to, or have the desire to complete phase one of the project this fiscal year? So right now, with only $20,000 budgeted and seeing the quotes that have come in, it will take anywhere from 2 to 5 years of the qualified folks that have actually submitted their bids to get this job done, to basically wrap the larger FP&L project. So the question is, does the City Commission want us to continue with the allocated budget, which will take us anywhere from 2 to 5 years to get completed, or does the City Commission want to add on to the budget that we have allocated for this year for phase one of the project? Right now, staff is recommending $30,000 addition, a budget amendment that would take it up to $50,000 allocated for this fiscal year, and that would allow the city to essentially get the project done anywhere between 1 to maybe 2 or 3 years, depending on which vendor we go with. So the second question is, should the transformer box be wrapped? And that's a weird kind of question, right? So the reason why we're asking this question is because, unfortunately, here in Florida, the heat that comes down on these utility boxes, and they're already generating heat internally. If we were to wrap the rooftop of these boxes, the laminate would only last anywhere from maybe 2 to 3 years. That's what the experts are telling us. Whereas the sidewalls would last 6 to 8 years. And so we would have to catch it within a sweet spot if we were to wrap the top in order to remove that laminate and then go ahead and laminate it again, or basically wrap that top again. And so we would have to keep track of all of those individually because every box is different in terms of how they generate heat and the amount of intensity that the sun provides on top of it. So staff is recommending that we don't wrap the top. But again, this is just staff's recommendation. We know that a lot of our residents live in condos, and so looking down, it might look a little bit different, but from the street view, it should not look too different. So the third question is the implementation starting point for this project. So let me just show you real quickly. So if you were to take a look at the city, and these maps are not to scale, but they are configured in such a way so that we can kind of get an idea as to how to answer this question. So if you look at the north side of town, there's 20 of these larger boxes that are in phase one on the north end of town. If you look at kind of the midpoint of the city and south of the midpoint, there are 10 boxes. And if you look at the city south of Dunlawton, there's only 5 boxes. So considering that, staff is recommending that we start at Oceans West Boulevard, which is basically the first point north of the midpoint of the city, and move down, or up north, I should say, and basically cover those first 20 boxes. And then from that point, go back to Oceans West Boulevard and then move south to the south end of town. That's staff recommendation. And then the last question is design selection, just to have the City Commission affirm the selection that they made back, I want to say in September of last year, with regards to the greenery options. So does the City Commission want to continue to utilize this as part of their plan? Different cities have done different things, but what we have noticed is that these 3 selections that you see here basically help to blend the equipment into the environment and into the built environment as well. So staff is recommending that we utilize these 3 that we have here. So with that said, are there any questions for us?
Would it only be one that we would have for everything?
So the City Commission can choose one, or you can utilize all just randomly. Or we can come up with a formula.
So, you know, I know this is an awful lot of money, but, you know, I want to listen to what our residents are saying, and that's what the residents are saying. We spent, who knows the answer, was it 20-some million dollars on underground utilities? Do you have the answer, 20?
I think it was about 20, yes.
Okay, 20, 24, 20, 27? All right, so anyway, let's round it off to
Yeah.
$25 million.
And this is something that the citizen did vote on.
Okay, so that's so funny, the notes that I wrote to myself were the underground wiring, and then we put a very big emphasis on the monument signs. So we're trying to get a certain look in the shores that, you know, life is better, and that benefits everyone. That's if you're trying to sell your property, and it's a nice city. I know I've had realtors say to me, that what they do is they take them down A1A, and then where the ugly lines start in Daytona, they say, okay, you've left the shores. So, yeah, I want to make it look beautiful, but 30,000 on top of the 20 seems high to me. I'd like to do a portion of that, but how do we know, Stuart? So if I said to you, okay, let's, you know, take half of that, so then we'd now be at 35,000 for this year. How do we know how many we could get done at that? Do you have the mathematical, or is it based on which of the vendors we choose?
Correct. It depends on which of the vendor, but basically we're looking at anywhere from, if we go with the lowest vendor, we're looking at a year plus. If we go with the next qualified, which is a higher price, I believe their number came in at around 3,500 or so, we're looking about 3 years or so.
I have a question.
Yes.
If we decide not to wrap the rooftops, would that save a little bit of money there? So would you still need the 30,000?
So the numbers that I just said and the time frame that I just gave are without wrapping on top.
Okay, gotcha.
So what other questions do we have? I know this is a very big decision, so let's see what questions are out there.
Yeah, I have a
Commissioner-
question.
Okay.
I know that the city of Daytona has done it. What mistakes did they do? Have you spoken with them and what we could do differently and learn from their mistakes?
So apparently it wasn't exactly the city of Daytona that did it. It was, they have a trust that I believe assists the Esplanade Park. I think that's what you're
Brown and
referring to. Yeah, Brown and Brown, correct. And apparently they were able to utilize their own artwork. And that's the reason why you don't see any of those options up here. After they did that, FPNL changed the rules and basically said, these are the 5 pre-selected options that we have here. So the city of Daytona Beach, you know, they didn't really have much to do with it in terms of actually going through the process. They basically put everything in the hands of the trust.
Yeah, I didn't notice if the top of the one over by the baseball field.
Those are actually wrapped. Those are actually wrapped, but it's too early to determine, you know, the quality of the product that was utilized. And just so you,
How high ours are, it wouldn't be necessary.
I'm sorry?
How high they are, the 5 to 6 feet, it wouldn't be necessary, except for you're saying the condos.
Yes, I mean, you may see a couple of them, you know, from the street side, but for the most part, if you're walking or driving by, you're probably not going to see them that much.
And Stuart and I, thank you very much for doing this today. The mayor always likes to go on field trips. She doesn't understand anything unless she goes out there. So we traveled up and down A1A, you know, looking them over. The very first one that I want done is on Oceans 25. No questions asked. You know, those seem to be the worst. So just looking along there. My next question was, City Manager, we had some of them that were right at Frank Rendon Park. Any chance that the county would help us out on doing
We can
this?
certainly ask.
Okay, all right. So I think 3 of the large ones that we located at Frank Rendon Park, you know, if they could do that, that would help as well. But, you know, I'm very pleased in what I see. I was a little bit concerned in talking with the director today about why one was so low, and he talked about Miramar, Florida, which I happen to know the mayor very well, left a message for him. But Stuart had a talk with their director.
folks, yes.
And they've been very happy. They gave you a good recommendation.
Yep. And they actually have contracts with that same company for other wrapping and other graphic design projects that they have going on.
Can you tell me a little bit about these that, are they anti-graffiti and
Yes, I'm
also?
glad you brought that up, Madam Mayor. So the quality of the laminate that's being utilized, the 3M product, is actually has UV protection in there, and it also has, the quote that we got also has anti-graffiti properties. So if somebody tags it, we should be able to go over there and just wipe it down really easily.
What other questions do we have? So right now, are you asking us for two things? How much additional we want to put? Four things, okay. Okay.
Four things. So the first one is, do we want to keep the budget as is, the 20 grand, or do we want to add more to it? The second question is, do we want to wrap the top or not? The third is, where do we start? And then the fourth is, do we just, do we continue to stick with the three options for the artwork?
So let's start with the first one too. I don't think right now that I want to put 30,000 more into it. As much as I'd love to see that there, does someone else have any number that they would want to come up with to add to the 20,000?
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
If the project is going to go forward, let's look at it this way. It's not going to cut them a check for $50,000 right off the bat. They're going to do it in phases, and they're going to get into an agreement with, okay, here's the first 15, 20 grand, and then they'll do the wraps, and then they'll start on the second ones. I think that if you're going to do it, might as well just do it. Yes, you lose a little bit of interest on the money that we would have had in a CD or a T-bill, but we have the ability to go ahead and fund it. And I think if you're going to do it, I'd rather do it 100%, and we're going to be doing it over the next year and a half to 2 years, depending on which of the vendors they select. So it is going to be spread out over time. And I know how you feel about spending taxpayer money, but if taxpayers gave us a message that they'll spend millions of dollars to bury all the utilities underground, then I think a $50,000 investment in enhancing the aesthetics of the city shouldn't be an issue. And I don't know if people have called you and said pros or cons. Nobody calls me, so I don't have any pros and cons. But to dovetail my opinion, because I don't want us all to talk individually, let's just delegate to staff to allow them to select what greenery they want. Let's let them, I don't want to micromanage them. I like looking at the forest. We're making the decision as an advisory board and as leadership, but let's delegate to staff to select and do everything. We don't need to micromanage them. That's my opinion.
Okay.
Is it this one?
No, I'm with the greenery, I'd like to say. One moment, Commissioner, I wanted to ask our finance director. So are you asked, do we have 20,000 in the budget for this fiscal year coming up, and you're asking us to put 50,000 in the budget for this coming year? Can you explain it to me a little bit better?
We currently, Madam Mayor, we actually have budgeted $20,000 for this project.
For this fiscal year?
Correct. So what staff is recommending is to do a budget amendment for $30,000 to bring the total up to 50.
Thank you, that helps. Commissioner Economist, did you have a comment you were starting to make?
Well, I believe when I was reading this last night, there were 4 vendors that applied, but really 2 that are qualified. I think 2 didn't have any experience really doing that. But there's a significant difference in price between the 2. So, obviously if we go with the low bid, that's going to save some money there. But is the price the same whether you choose all 3 patterns or just one? Is it okay? Because I would not have an issue if we chose all 3 and just having staff just pick whatever they think is better for that environment, because you may have some ligustrum shrubs that are near there, and so you might want the one on the left or something. So I would have no problem with that either. So.
Anyone else? Commissioner Dubinsky, anything that you'd like to say on this?
No, I agree with Commissioner Politis on let's get it done.
Okay. Commissioner Card, anything else you'd like to add? Okay, all right. So explain to me one more time, if we do go ahead with the 50,000 and we go with the lower bid, and normally I don't like to do that because I looked at that bid and I was a little bit concerned. Normally you're pretty much in range, and that wasn't. Again, you check with someone. I'm gonna get back with the mayor tomorrow from Miramar and see how that works out. But if they have references, it sounds like that's the one we probably want to go with. Correct. All right, so can we get all 35 of the large done with $50,000?
Yes, we should be able to, yes. With the lowest vendor, yes.
With the lowest vendor, okay. And we're looking at a year to year and a half to 2 years to get that.
About a year and a half if we go with the lower.
Okay, and then at that time, would you come back, so after that's complete, come back to us and maybe get a price on doing the medium size, or don't you feel the medium size needs
So
done at all?
phase two of the program, Madam Mayor, would involve wrapping the FDOT traffic signal panels, which we spoke about back in July. And there are only 5 of those panels, by the way, in which we would go ahead and reach out to the RJ Longstreet and to our community to try to get different artistic representations to be placed on those panels. But that was phase 2, and then phase 3 would include everything else, meaning the medium size, the smaller one if the city decides to go that way, and the AT&T boxes as well.
Okay, so with the 4 questions that you asked us, I think we took care of number 1. Number 2, we don't think we need the rooftop. The starting point, where would phase 1 begin? And that again, you know, I would want to leave them up to you, just as long as Oceans 25 is the very first one. You know, I did notice today, it seemed like when we were moving, when we were going along, I see that there was more on the north side of town, if you use that as the midway point. And then to Vice Mayor's point, you know, we don't want to micromanage if you think this design fits in there better. That sounds okay. So what do you need from us? Becky, what do they need from us now?
My suggestion is if people agree with what you just said, somebody could say so moved.
So moved.
Second.
Second? Okay, thank you. Any other discussion on this? So for those that are in the audience, is there anyone that has any comment on this? Is this something you're agreeing with? I know a lot of people have talked to me about this, and Ms. Cook, I don't want to put you on the spot, but being a realtor, I think you've even mentioned this to me before about beautifying the city. Anything else that you'd like to add to this?
I'm in favor.
Can you come up with, I'm sorry, I don't want to put you on the spot, but I want to make sure that, you know, our visitors, our tourists, our potential homeowners see how beautiful our city is.
Yes, so I'm Sandy Cook with Realty Pros, 3118 South Atlantic Avenue. Good evening. First of all, I'm in favor of the whole 50,000 because we're already kind of behind. It seems like we've been working on this for years already. So it got pushed back and delays. So I think now it's our chance to catch up. So I'm in favor of the whole amount up front so that we can expedite things. But yes, you know, when you were first elected, we started a beautification program, and we've made great progress, even though I know we all want to even make more progress. But this goes in line with your original goals and the residents that live here.
Thank you so much, Sandy, appreciate it. Okay, so we had a motion and a second, and any other discussion? Sherry, can we take a roll, please?
Yes, ma'am. Vice Mayor Politis?
Yes.
Commissioner Nembinski?
Yes.
Commissioner Carr?
Yes.
Commissioner Condos?
Yes.
Mayor Miller?
Yes, thank you. Okay, city attorney comments. Attorney Vos, do you have anything for us?
Madam Mayor, no, I do not tonight.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. City manager, what do you have for us?
No comments.
Okay, all right, good. Okay, so we'll now go into council comments. I think I'll go first, and then we'll move along here. So I had quite a few. So you see in front of you, and we have some brochures in the back. So our beautiful beach, you know, through Ian and Nicole, has suffered a lot of damage. And it's coming along, it's looking gorgeous, but there is some cleanup that is needed. So the county put out this cleanup this weekend, so this would be Saturday the 17th. It's gonna start at 8 a.m. and you could sign up or you could show up of one of these 5 locations. Daytona Beach Shores City Hall, Dahlia Avenue Park, Frank Rendon Park, how do you say Larry's last name? Frenera Park, and Tornanita Avenue Park. So there are those 5 locations. That one's actually by Wilbur by the Sea. So I'm just asking everyone, we're in this community together, you know, try and help out, whether you live on the beach, you don't. I'm hoping we can get staff involvement and of course our commissioners' involvement. I will probably be at the Frank Rendon one at 8 o'clock. They're asking you to bring a bucket and to bring gloves and just be prepared to work. There will be a hard cutoff at 11 a.m. unless the tide would come in earlier, and then they would cut it off at that time. So I know that Gwen and Stuart and Nancy Maddox have been working on this. Is there any questions we have for either of the three of those? Well, Gwen's not here, so it'd be Stuart and Nancy. Any questions on this? Okay, if not, I think this is a great effort. This is the first time, I think, since Ann and Nicole, that it's been done on a basis like this. Okay, so the next thing that I want to talk about is the Citizens Academy, and I'll have our Director Maddox add on to this, but just want to tell you a little bit about a Citizen Academy. All of our neighboring cities have these. We had one probably been 3.5 years right now. It was right before COVID, and actually there was a waiting list, people fighting to get onto that. We still have open seats on this, and this is something that Director Maddox has put a lot of time into. This is one of the ways that you can see the operations of your city, how it works, any questions that you have. Department heads are going to come in and talk to you about it. Nancy, do you have anything else you want to add on this, what they can expect?
Sure, thank you. It's a 6-week program. It's every Thursday. It's either going to be 2 or 3 hours on that Thursday, every Thursday morning, starting February 22nd. And of course, the first week will be the city manager and the city clerk telling you about their departments and on and on and on. And then, of course, everyone looks forward to public safety and public works. So, yes, so we hope you will join us.
Thank you. Yes, I urge you to do this, so you're going to see the inner workings of your city. So Nancy has some slots left. If you can get with her, please, after this meeting. For those of you that are listening online, please contact Nancy. And then have we posted this on Facebook?
It's been on Facebook. We also have applications here at the community center.
Okay, great. Okay. So any questions on our Citizen Academy? Okay, if not, then we are going to move on to Coffee with the Mayor, which will be new time for tomorrow only. That's 9 o'clock a.m. Once a year, Volusia County does a State of the County, and normally it's at the Ocean Center. They moved it to Deltona this year, so we have to change ours till 9 o'clock, so we have enough time to get over there. So please join us at 9 o'clock tomorrow. That will be the only time it's at 9 o'clock. I do want to say, well, one of the things that I want to take a vote on right now, if we can, I am not going to be available for this first meeting in March. And I understand Commissioner Economos is not either. Looking ahead, we don't feel like we have a lot on the agenda. So can I have a motion to cancel the first meeting in March?
I will. So move.
All right, second?
I'll second.
Thank you. All right, any discussion? Okay, if not, Sherry, can you take a vote on this?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
No. All right, so again, let me go over that with you one more time. So tomorrow, the Coffee with the Mayor will be 9 a.m. In March, we will not have the first meeting of the month, nor will we have Coffee with the Mayor for the month of March. We'll resume again in April at the 10 o'clock a.m. time. So any questions on that? Okay, next I want to tell you about two other things that were coming up. We are going to have the Battle of the Food Trucks. We are starting our concert series again. This is February 24th at the Pavilion. We're going to have 15 food trucks, 2 cash bars, and this will start at, is it 2:30 to 5? We're having DJ Dave? Yes. Wow, that's going to be wonderful. And then we will have band, the Future Buds, 5 to 8:30. So everyone loves these food trucks. Please come out again, and Nancy has guaranteed me nice weather.
Madam Mayor, the food trucks, we normally do them on a Friday.